All right, how's it going, guys? Today, I know I've been talking about it for a little bit, and I really wanted to get started on it. We already had our first little bit of snowfall for the winter, so here we are. We're working on the MR2 today. I've kind of put this project on the back burner since riding season's been going on, and I haven't done a lot with it. I haven't even gotten to drive the car all summer, and I really need to get it running. And I want to do a lot of restoration work, just get it into a good condition that the car desperately needs. Certainly, the problem is that the car will crank, but it won't stay running. So we have to fix that problem. And I think for today, we're gonna go dig in, check all the vacuum lines, make sure all of the electronics are plugged in. Also helping us out with this, we have the big green book. It's gonna kind of guide us along this journey, help us with some troubleshooting. It's pretty much just a shop manual that is specifically for this car. So there's not any generalized information. It's all pretty specific to this vehicle. So I'm gonna be referencing this as much as I can, so that way I can try and diagnose this issue and get this thing running again. Because it's been probably about a year since I've actually had it running. In that time, we did have it running. We replaced a couple pulleys. We installed an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator, changed the fuel lines from the old hard lines to stainless braided, grabbed and fitted a jimmy bracket, which pretty much changes the orientation of your throttle cables. So we haven't really done anything too invasive. For the most part, the car is entirely stock. So why it's not running, I couldn't tell you. And that's what we're gonna try and find out today. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop the trunk and check and make sure that my ECU is plugged in, because it's been really bothering me. I can't remember if I plugged it in or not. So if it hasn't been plugged in this entire time and that actually is the issue, I guess it'll be a short video. But yeah, let's check that. So now that we're in the trunk, I am seeing that everything's plugged in and looks the way it's supposed to. So I don't know what the problem is. It's definitely not that. But yeah, this is the trunk of the MR2. I need to replace this. It's almost empty, but I do try to keep some coolant and some oil in here because old cars have problems and I don't want to end up on the side of the road because something happened that was completely avoidable. Slow leaks, little overheating, stuff like that just happens. Here's the ECU, and this is the speed control sensor for cruise control, which I don't have installed right now. It's a vacuum controlled cruise control system, and I don't really need it, so I unplugged it. It also made it almost impossible to install the jimmy bracket, which I might as well show you guys now. So this is the jimmy bracket. The reason we're using this instead of the standard mount for your throttle cable is because instead of it coming up over the motor into the pulley here, it comes around and goes straight to it. So it's more linear and helps with throttle response and just cleaning up the engine bay. So let's start it, see what the issue is, and go from there. Okay, so now it's cranking, but not kicking over. And I feel like it's probably something that's not plugged in. just a signal is getting missed somewhere. So I'm gonna start by digging into that. I'm just gonna unplug everything, plug it back in, and make sure we're good to go. That's how I've always tried to troubleshoot stuff in the past, and it generally works out pretty well. Things can be unseated, they could be connected incorrectly, just any number of things. And if you just go back, look through it, and check to make sure everything's essentially correct, just unplug it, plug it back in, you're just starting from zero again. And that's the best place to start when you're working on a car or motorcycle or anything. Just get everything back to base and go from there. First, before we really do anything, it's really helpful to have some gloves because it'd be getting dirty in there, like real messy. And I don't like being messy. Also, I don't want to get my house dirty, and I have a bad problem touching walls and stuff whenever I've been working on whatever. It's not good. Do that, take my watch off. Already opened up a little drink for myself, and it's non-alcoholic too, so you know, no issues. I can't blame it on the alcohol, in the infamous words of Jamie Foxx. So turn this light on, and let's get to work. Okay, so we did kind of find one issue. I don't know if it's a big issue or not, but I was jiggling around the fuel injectors and it kind of made a little noise, like some air escaping. I don't think that's a good indication, but it didn't do it again. So if I have to take the fuel rail off, I gotta take it off, but hopefully we don't. Another thing, I need to get into here and use a new bracket, because right now the way this is set up, this hits the AN fitting, and that's not good. So we're gonna have to fix that, try and figure out a different fitting. I have a handful of them. I'll just try and find something that fits. But in the meantime, we're not gonna worry about that guy. Just something to kind of think about for later. But I have everything else on the main harness on this side unplugged, and we're gonna move over to this side and check all the plugs there. And then we're gonna go back, plug everything in one by one. Okay, so for the most part, everything in the back here is unplugged. There's a couple things that I didn't unplug because they're just hard to access places. Once I got my hand down in there and was able to kind of just fiddle around with it and make sure that it was nice, tight, and secure, kind of just left it alone because I don't really want to dig into it and end up making it more difficult of a process than it already is. So we're gonna go back, plug all this stuff in, and check to see if just that little bit of adjustment helped. All right, so we ran into our first little bit of a hiccup. There's the two plugs that connect to the distributor that I'm pretty sure I unplugged, but now I can't find the wires that they go to. So I'm gonna bring out the book and we're gonna try and figure out what exactly is going on with that. Figure out where stuff connects, because that might actually be part of the issue, just not firing off and keeping it running. Okay, so our ignition is here and we have the coil. And that then goes into the distributor. Get a good look at it. So ignition, ignition coil, igniter, distributor. So what we want to try and find is where the distributor connects back to everything else. So I think it connects, based on this, it should connect into the igniter and into the ECU, and then has the main spark going to the ignition coil. So what that pretty much is gonna mean is that this main harness here, this one that runs along this channel, is gonna connect to this. And then there's also gonna be another wire that connects from this to the igniter over here. And that's what I gotta find now. So we're gonna do that. All right, so I think I figured it out. The plugs for this are not color-coded the correct way. It's really weird. Everything else in this car is color-coded and you can't really mess it up. You know, green to green, blue to blue, stuff like that. But this is a little different. So we have this green one here that's gonna connect to this black one here in the back. And then this light green is gonna connect to this other green one. It's really weird. I don't know why it's set up that way, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it's supposed to be plugged in. So I'm gonna plug these in and then we're gonna try and turn it over and see if that works. All right, let's give it a shot. We got something. We got something. All right, so it kicked on and then died immediately after. So I'm gonna go through the troubleshooting in the big green book and kind of figure out what it says to do. I've already looked at it before and it's a long list of stuff to check. So we have two things it could be. First one, problem, engine will not start, hard to start, but cranks okay. It does start, but it immediately stalls. So then you have rough idle, stalls, or misses. The possible causes of that could be spark plugs. We already changed those. Those are brand new. I just put those in not too long ago. Like, haven't even ran the motor with them, aside from trying to start it. So they're brand new. Faulty spark plug wires, ignition problems, so coil, igniter, distributor. I just replaced those things. Incorrect timing. Yeah, I could see that, but it's also not really running, so I can't adjust the timing other than trying to go from TDC. Low compression, incorrect idle speed, vacuum leaks. EFI problems, engine overheats, pulling air between airflow meter and throttle body. So I guess we'll kind of just hit the low-hanging fruit on this. We can check for air and check for vacuum leaks. I think those things are all reasonably doable. We could do all those. I mean, we could do all of this stuff, but we could do those things right now. So luckily, for the most part, all of our vacuum lines are on top, and that's it. There's not really too many vacuum lines, but they all kind of connect to something. It's weird. And they also were really good and left this diagram here, so that way you can get it all set up the way it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna go through and make sure the stuff that's supposed to be capped off is capped off and that we're running our wires where they're supposed to go. After looking at this for a little bit, part of me is kind of thinking that I can just block off some of them and it might work. I might be pulling in air from the wrong spot. All right, so we got that stuff blocked off. This little T here, we're gonna go run that back into the intake. We should be good. Time to just run through one more time, check the rest of the vacuum lines, and then hopefully it starts right up. So we went through and double checked on all the vacuum lines, all the plugs, everything. It should be looking better now. I think I had one of the vacuum lines plugged into the wrong spot, and that would have caused excess air to go in through the inlet, which would throw off my air fuel, which makes sense as to why it would stall out, at least based on the information from the service manual. So we're gonna try and kick it on one last time before we call it and spend some off time doing a little more digging. It definitely sounded stronger. I think we're going on the right track. So it's not starting. Still haven't figured out what it is, but I could definitely smell some fuel burning up. So there might be, some fuel kind of still floating around there in the motor. I could definitely smell that it's getting combustion. There's stuff going through the exhaust, everything. It's working. It's trying to start. I think going through all the vacuum lines and doing everything that we did today is a step in the right direction. I need to do some reading and do a little more digging to try and figure out what exactly the issue is. I did see on some forums that it could be the injectors. So maybe I get new injectors and try and see if that helps. Maybe that's not the issue. Won't know until we replace it. But it's starting to look like we're just going to slowly replace piece by piece until we essentially have all new everything. Because you got to remember, this is still a 40-year-old car. I haven't really done too much to replace much of anything. And the stuff that I did replace wasn't really internal parts. When I rebuilt the motor, everything was pretty good for the most part. So I just rebuilt it and sent it from there and was able to drive it for about a year before it sat in my garage. So I don't know, maybe the injectors do need to get cleaned out. Maybe there's some gunk in there. I don't know, but we'll have to find that out next time. So I'll keep you guys updated, and we'll definitely keep this project going through the winter. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have an awesome day.